in like maybe 4 years, 5.
It's still that's cool if you guys want to try it.
So this is dedicated to all the sidewalk squares and the blank stairs, but mostly to the cracks in between. To anybody who's ever felt the breath of epiphany, or ever wished they could pull a dipstick from the depths of eternity and see how much longer the revolution is gonna be. To anybody who's ever tried to write poetry, I've got these questions to ask you, like, did you ever watch Scooby-Doo? And do you remember back before you knew why there was all that smoke coming out of the mystery van? And do you remember back when stepping on a sidewalk crack was a serious health risk for your mother's back? And did you work your ass off to avoid those cracks, or did you, like me, ever jump onto the cracks, not out of spite, just to see what might happen? Hoping you'd free fall through concrete canyons, cannonball splash into childhood fantasies deep and wide enough to hide inside of from all of your fears. And did you buy into your parents' lies? And how did you get from there to right here? Have you ever had an imaginary friend make you cry?
Yeah.
And did you, like me, get locked in what felt like an eternity of apologies to an unavailable God who only had the time to whisper into the back of your mind your sin to be who you are inside? As you do what you do, how often do you two feel like the who in you is wrong? And do you remember what it was like to just know you were right? Like you knew, no matter what the older kids said, that Santa is real.
I don't know, man.
And do you remember
Same here.
I don't know.
what it felt like the first time you realized you could be wrong? The opposite of an epiphany, that discovery that things aren't as magical as I thought they were. But do you remember the first time that you ever realized you were wrong about being wrong about something, and that you had been right all along, because things were even more magical than you can imagine? Like, how do you think creation happened? What was it like when it all began? Or what would it be like if it all began again with you? Where does your mind wander when you give it the freedom to? Wandering my mental sidewalks, I walk into a post-apocalyptic Eden. Imagine I'm watched only by aliens looking in on me and a beautiful boy, hanging hammocks across forgotten cracks and lichen-covered concrete, naked bodies boldly just being. In perfection, we sway between the apple trees of this engorging garden of former city, and this time, yeah, it is Adam and Steve. And God, yeah, she's returned to finger the trunks of our forbidden trees, unlocking eternity. An orgasm so deep and thick that the aliens come and join in to a sad-eyed snake-singing techno as we pick and squish all the apples into cider so we can get drunk on knowledge and dance like it's college. And there is no homo, and we all know that we are beautiful and magical until we black in, sore-assed and open to good and evil. And do you believe in good and evil? And do you believe in God? And do you believe in Santa Claus? And do you believe in aliens? But mostly, have you ever felt watched? As you do what you do you two worry that people can see those things inside of you that you don't want them to? And do you, like me, ever catch stray eaves from passerbys that remind you of your own insecurities? And do you remember when you realized that people don't think about you nearly as much as you think about them thinking about you? And do you two ever feel isolated in this community of who we are and what we do? It's true, nobody gives a fuck about you. Except for the people who raised you, and the people who now see and embrace you, and God and Santa Claus and the aliens, because they're all watching you, but not so they can judge you, just so that someday when you meet them, they can tell you the answers to all of your questions, like, how many nights have you slept in bed with? Whomever you've slept in bed with the most times in your life. Is that person for you, like me, still your mommy? And if that's true, do you two wonder when it won't be? And do you remember when you realized that your parents were people too, like you, and were you surprised? Or were you just surprised that you didn't feel more godlike after you realized? And after all that you've realized, do you, like me, ever step on sidewalk cracks and still worry? Because the realizations didn't set me free. They just set me chasing epiphanies like Scooby snacks when I'm shaggy, drunk on knowledge apple cider, and driving the mystery van of my questions through eternity till I break down halfway between a fear and a fantasy, pull the dipstick from that shit-kicked heap called reality, use that dirty tip to write poetry and lick that shit into memory so that I might be able to spit oil slicks and sit back and just watch you slip and fall ass first into who you were born to be.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is no longer Polyjammerous. This is now Stu's solo show.